everyone, my name is Carissa Tauber, and I want to introduce you to Intercessions, Stories of Our Time. In this series, I hope to have conversations with young people around the world who are, simply put, just doing extraordinary things. I am by no means a professional podcaster, and this is really my first attempt at ever doing something like this, so please bear with me as I figure out the many ropes. By way of introduction, I am a surgery resident. I'm currently doing my residency in general surgery with plans to pursue a career in cardiac surgery. I'm now on a research sabbatical, which we're actually required to do after our third clinical year. And I actually really like residency. Right now, I think I miss operating and taking care of patients and their families. But it's nice in the sense that now I have time to return to some of the hobbies and passions I cherished before residency. And this is a project of mine that's been on the back burner for many years. I'm someone who has always drawn tremendous, great inspiration from those around me, and I really want to use this podcast as a platform to share some of the work of the many young people I've met and admire across a variety of disciplines, from science and music to art and religion. I will be talking to young people who, like me, are just beginning their careers or are in the early stages of carving out a niche for themselves personally and professionally. I am drawn to people who love big ideas as much as I do and have a similar desire to connect with the world at large in their exchange. I love learning about the beautiful cultures around our world and the history of great civilizations, and really the people who grow up with stories so different from my own. I think it's important to say that a lot of the impetus behind this work and my motivation for doing this now in particular is the deep sadness I have at the tenor of a lot of modern discourse, especially among people my age lately. I think there's been this profound negativism that's widely celebrated that really bothers me deeply. I think vitriol and outrage seem to abound now more than ever. And I've been thinking a lot about what I could do to combat that in some small way. I've also been thinking a lot about courage and what it means to really live a life of enduring and thoughtful conviction. I think that the number of temptations to which we may fall prey has really increased alarmingly over my young adult years as technology supplants former strongholds of community. And I see more young people than ever just hopelessly dispossessed and really craving intimacy and virtue in a culture that preys upon and I think just deeply monetizes their insecurities. And so I think I'm especially bothered by the glorification of vanity in today's era, which I think often masquerades as empowerment or even worse, liberation. I think this is really the danger we incur when we are taught that living for ourselves genuinely represents the greatest attainable good, because I think our ego will expand relentlessly with opportunity. And so this is something I have thought a lot about, and I really do cherish people, and I turn to them when I find myself looking for inspiration. I've always felt so grounded by talking to people who are capable and passionate, but who retain a profound sense of humility about their work. And so this is really an attempt at giving them a platform. I'm drawn to people who not only have a sense of their own history, but a sense of real purpose about their own projects. They understand the inheritance that they've been given and have a keen sense of wanting to leave a legacy behind. I think, like me, they're inspired by the expansiveness of the world around us and have a very special interest in some of the eternal questions that have fascinated humankind since the dawn of time. I think it's a special luxury to have the chance to live a life in which you can address these questions, and so many people are not afforded that opportunity. And I think that point bears special emphasis, and I want to make that clear here. I meet plenty of extraordinary young people who are themselves ill or whose life is centered around taking, really meticulous care of ailing loved ones. And I am overcome with respect and awe for them. I hope to include them here as well. I have always thought that real happiness comes from shouldering as much responsibility as you can reasonably handle, and then making good on those commitments to those around you. So I'd like to close by just reading a poem by the famous Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore, an excerpt from Gitanjali. My mom is from India, and I've grown up with a real love of his work. And I think this verse perfectly captures the spirit of what I'm trying to accomplish within this series. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. I hope you enjoy these conversations as much as I do. I hope you feel the love of culture shared by many of my guests and the just genuine delight that comes from remaining curious about the world around you. I hope you feel inspired by ordinary people following their dreams across oceans, from across the world and right here in our own backyards. I really have tremendous admiration for the people I meet in life, and I hope to share the gift of their presence with you. So thank you for joining me on this journey, and I am looking so forward to our first guest just next week. Take care.